DPA Ready is a project that was launched through my company. Just to give it the backstory of how this came about. So of course, I'm the chairman of the Security and Emergency Management Committee for the JHTA. And as a part of my mandate, I mean, we just, for those persons who are active members, you'd be aware that we just completed the emergency management manual that is about to be launched and brought out into the public, particularly within the tourism space. And that was a pretty successful project that we undertook at that time. This happened maybe a month ago, we launched it. We've been in constant conversations, myself and in particular Ms. Needham, about this data protection. And we've heard it for ourselves that this is no joke. I mean, some of the penalties, just hearing it from the commissioner, it's sort of very daunting. And so, you know, we obviously were really looking at how we could find ways to empower our membership. So it just so happens, I mean, just to kind of introduce myself from a professional standpoint. So I run a company called First Responders Technology Limited, and we've been around for about 10 years. Next year will be our 10th year. And we're in the business of building out software platforms for large-scale needs, large-scale problems, and we build solutions. So as an example, if you travel through the airports during COVID and did a test in the airport, you'd have been using our platform that we had built in collaboration with the government to kind of ease the movement of people through the airports. You would recall not so long ago, when we were in a different time, travel was a pretty huge burden, in particular because of the issue of COVID testing. And so we do those kinds of projects. And we've done some good work, and you know, we've been awarded. I mean, we have a national award for a product that we built in 2018 from the Ministry of Science and Technology, or Ministry of Technology. And we just now recently won a Commonwealth Award for another innovation project that we did that is going on now. And then the Commonwealth Secretary General's Award is really built about things that you're doing towards sustainable development and the sustainable development goals for the world. And so I'm actually heading off to collect that award tomorrow. They're having the ceremony in Nairobi, Kenya. So we've been doing some I believe some good work. Now, how does that apply to JHTA? Again, we're an active member, and we've tried to apply a lot of what we do and what we've been doing to benefit the membership. And again, the recent publication that we worked on is kind of testament to what we're trying to do to kind of really help the industry in a real way, not just by saying it, but actually doing it. And so when we had this conversation, myself and the leadership, Camille, Chris, and so on, in terms of what we're going to do, we kind of sort of said, well, we are working on a DPA project ourselves. And for the last year or so, we've been sort of working to kind of prepare ourselves to offer some of these services within the space. And so the DPA Ready Project, which is really the co-host of this event, is what came out of it. And so we are, in fact, you know, working primarily at this point in the healthcare space, which is kind of one of our main areas of focus as a company. But we're also doing some work in the tourism space as well, and increasingly so, considering that we're members of the JHTA at this point. So I'll just quickly share my screen and show, just as a point of reference. So we have on our team persons who are adequately capable of, at a leadership level, of handling issues around privacy, data privacy, and of course, things in relation to the Data Protection Act. And so, you know, we have attorneys, we have persons in cybersecurity, and so on and so forth, right? Now, we produced, out of all of this sort of the noise that has been happening over the last 12 months, we thought through carefully how we could actually make an impact in terms of simplifying what is a pretty, I would say, a pretty daunting task. Some of the questions that were asked earlier really are speaking to, you know, what do I do? Where do I start? And so some of the persons on our team are involved in data science and machine learning. And one of the big issues that we saw back in January of this year is that it is very difficult to go through a document, a 100-page document, trying to figure out exactly all the things that we need to do to be compliant. As the commissioner said, we may actually start this journey, but it may turn out that there are elements that we're still not even clear how to be compliant. And so one of the things that we sought to do was to deploy our prowess, if you will, in data science, to take that particular act. And we trained what we call a language learning model. So you'd have heard the AI being bandied about all over. But the LLM, if you've heard that term, some may have, some may not. But the language learning model is an ability for us to use data science and AI to train that sort of, again, that AI to learn the act. And in learning the act, help us to be able to create solutions around what is required in a very precise way. And so that took some time. That took us a couple of months. But we're able to now we're able to get it done. And at this point, what we have is a kind of a very compact and a sort of a good way for us to kind of wrap our arms around this issue, this problem that we're facing. And so we've built what we call like a DPA readiness package, right? I'll just show you very quickly what it entails. The commissioner spoke about the cost being expensive, and we also are very cognizant of that. And that's one of the things that we've seen in the space as well, that the prices can be a little bit out of whack. And so one of the things that we're seeking to do is to change that paradigm as well, because I think much of it is a case where there are persons who have the information and they're charging a lot of money for you to get to the information. What we're trying to do is to democratize this whole business of what do people need to do. The truth is that if every company or every business in Jamaica needs to be ready, then it's a lot of people. And so for those persons who may think, those purveyors of services may think that they can just simply hug up all the information and say, you have to pay me all this money to get to it. I think it would be foolhardy, because again, it is just so many people that really need to be compliant. And the thing about it is that, I mean, all it takes is one complaint, and then you're in the crosshairs of this whole issue of whether you're going to be charged or not. I, for one, am not a big fan of oh, well, don't worry about it, we may not charge you. I mean, I would not a gambler, but I would definitely, if I were a gambler, I would go with at least getting started. So what we did was we created a package, and what we did also was look at the act and establish exactly what a company needs to do to be on that road to compliance, perhaps the closest to compliance as possible, if not fully compliant. And so this kit that we've developed, this package that we've developed, has a number of things, and you're seeing on the screen. We established, we divided it among 10 main industries, of course.
Aldain, we're not seeing it on the screen.
Oh, you're not seeing the
No, we're looking at the team members.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me just fix that right away. Sorry. Thank you, Madam. Let me stop. And then tell me if you're seeing it now.
We're seeing you.
Yes, I'm gonna go back now. 1 second. Back to my PowerPoint, and then I'm gonna go back to Zoom and share. How about now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. All right. So we've created this readiness package. What does it entail? And as I said before, we broke it down into 10 different industries. Of course, the hotel and tourism industry was one of those industries that we focused on. So we, first of all, did not develop a cookie cutter approach. So this first item, which is a pre-recorded training video, is specific to your industry. So you're talking about check-ins, you're talking about guests, you're talking about all the things that you're very much, used to in terms of your space. And then we developed what we call a compliance guidebook. This is a Bible. So persons who are asking, for example, what do I do? How do I do it? Where do I start? If you have this book, you essentially are well on your way towards being compliant. It covers every single thing from A to Z that you need, or from 1 to 100 that you need to be compliant, including an FAQ section that covers some frequently asked questions. Now, the commissioner mentioned digital. It is not a part of necessarily intrinsically connected to DPA, but it is a part of it. And she did mention that. And so we're also deploying some digital tools. As I said before, we're a software development company, so we do have over 30 employees within the space, from software developers, cloud engineers. And so we are able to help companies to deploy GDPR compliance within their website. Of course, cookie consent, very, very important. If you're looking in the last 6 months, you probably would notice, I'm sure everyone on this call would notice, that you're seeing more and more pop-ups of accepting cookies. A year ago, maybe not so much. 6 months ago to now, you're seeing a lot more. That's something that your website must have if you're going to be DPA compliant. And also a data rights request portal. Your website must have something clear on it that allows persons, customers, to ask that their data be removed from your company. Now, again, it should be a link on your website that is not buried in some contact us page. It should be on your footer or your header data subject rights request form. Okay, so we're going to, as a part of the package, you get that as well implemented. We also assist you with registration. Now, of course, there has been a regulation that was published some time ago that outlines what the registration will involve. Again, we train an LLM to understand exactly what that registration involves, and we're going to be able to help you on that as well, to go through the process. Now, cybersecurity health check, that's self-explanatory. We have a cybersecurity team within our company, and we'll be able to help you to take a very basic look at where you are in terms of your health in terms of cybersecurity. How easy would it be for us to penetrate your website, right? Let's do a penetration test. Can we break into your site easily? And if so, then of course you have some work to do. Now, templates and checklists, we have about 10 documents that you have to have handy at your office. And so we developed, again, from the LLM that we trained, we got those documents. And of course, those documents are there, from your impact assessment forms to your policy forms to your, you name it. There are forms there that are there. We not only have the blank forms, but we also have the forms pre-filled, so that in some cases you could just change the name of your company. In other cases, it will give you a guide as to how to fill out those forms. We also offer, and this is a very important one, we provide a free, we have partnered with Udemy. You may be familiar with Udemy, a training organization. And we have a comprehensive training course. It's like a 1-month DPO training program. We recognize that not everyone will be able to take on an external DPO. There are some that will, some that won't. But we believe that everyone must have an opportunity to be able to at least be self-trained. Again, this is the entire country, a lot of people that need help, and all at once. December 1st, December 2nd, everyone here is liable if you've not started. And so it's incumbent on everybody to actually get moving. So we offer this training program. Programs in the market now are from $900 US, and I mean, and you've probably seen some of those training programs being offered. Again, we're throwing this in because we believe with our partnership with Udemy, we can throw it in, and I think it's important for us not to, again, hold it close to our chest, but give it to members who are, or persons who are actually interested in becoming, getting some DPO training. And then finally, we have consultation. Of course, this goes without saying. And so after everything is done, we're there to make sure that everything basically is up and up, on the up and up, everything is working how it should, and your package is deployed in a very efficient way. And so that is our DPA package. Now, the other thing that I wanted to share is outsourced data protection officers. Now, there are many persons on this call that will need to have an outsourced officer for so many different reasons, primarily cost. The cost to hire someone to do this job full-time can become very onerous. And this is something that was never budgeted for, planned for, or known about. In some cases last week, some persons are just now knowing about the Data Protection Act. Some persons would have known a few months ago. But by and large, the data protection officer for most persons is mandatory. It's not optional. And so we've decided to offer that service as well. And so again, some of the quick points: you have access to specialized knowledge, of course, from our team, quite a range of knowledge and experience in the space. And of course, you can focus on your core activities without having to worry about compliance. It can become very, very tricky and very cumbersome. So having someone, in the same way that you outsource in some cases, your accounting functions or other similar, your legal services, this is one of those things that we offer as well, where you get professionals to do it the right way. An unbiased and independent perspective is also something that we think is very important. Self-regulating, self-managing, self-checking can become very challenging for the best of us. And so in this business of data privacy, having a trusted partner who can basically become your eyes and ears is something that will help you as an organization, whether you're a part of leadership or you're part of the line staff or you're an operations person. This is going to be something that's going to be very important, to have someone that you can rely on and who is competent and who is trustworthy to basically get this done. And of course, as the commissioner said, this will make you look good, because again, if you can say we are on top of our things with our Data Protection Act readiness, then customers will feel assured that you are a good steward of their data, and it will kind of make things better for everyone, a win-win for everyone, right? It's one moment. Now, the core functions of DPO, that was a question that was asked. Compliance oversight. Again, that one is a very quick and easy one. Ensure that your process data is in good stead. The gap analysis, you're going to hear that a lot more often. Risk assessment, very important part of the start of your process, and how you move after you've gotten your package and you've kind of gone through all the initial steps and the training and the course or whatever it is you're doing. All those things, you now need to move to actually actioning them. And so the gap analysis is a big part of that. The DPO also, our group also provides training for the team members as well. And of course, impact assessment is a requirement for being compliant. And so the DPO will also have that role as well to take care of for your company. Of course, fulfilling data subject rights requests that come in, persons that are asking questions about their data, we will have a responsibility for that. Incident management and breach notification, the commissioner spoke on that as well. If something were to go down, we would basically be managing that conversation with the OIC. Record keeping, of course, and finally, liaison with the OIC. Other quick ones: vendor and third-party management, policy development, privacy by design. Privacy by design is an important one. I mean, privacy by design really speaks to the fact that, this is not just something that is a, flavor of the month. This is something that you're bought into. You believe that privacy is a part of your ethos. And we basically will sort of help to create that sort of environment where going forward, you'll be operating in such a way that people that are relating with you from an international or local standpoint will know that this is not just something you're doing under duress, but you actually do believe in data compliance. And of course, compliance audits also form a part of what we would do as DPOs. And so I think the point is made. We really wanted to not just have this, kind of a talk shop sort of approach where, we hear about what the things are, what the risks are, but there was no real way to kind of move towards a solution. Again, as a JHTA member, as a JHTA, committee chair, one of the mandates that we have as a committee is to empower all our members and our stakeholders. And so when we set about to build this solution, we understood that, we are specifically affected. And when we saw what was going on out there, to be honest, you know, there are people, we're also registered with the OIC right now, so we're on their list of purveyors, but we saw a gap in terms of really just providing a comprehensive way that persons can just take something and move with it. You know, we can do all the meetings and the sessions and the consultation sessions and so on, but how can we actually become compliant is the big question most persons leave those meetings with. And so we believe that we have actually now answered some of those questions. We're again, as they say, open for business. We've been doing quite a bit of work, but we do have a large team, and we're also growing because we're taking on new people every day, because again, it's something that we have doubled down on just to make sure that we can provide the level of service that we're known for. And so we're definitely happy to engage with persons here who may have an interest in becoming compliant, or at least going on the journey. I would just go ahead and drop a link in the chat. So if persons are interested in a session, then you can feel free to do so. But again, there are other persons out there who are offering their services as well. We are obviously the hosts of this session, but not the only providers of this service. And so to the extent that you have an interest, which I believe everyone being here does have an interest, then we can have a conversation after. But again, it is really for us as an organization, and I'll continue working to find, you know, solutions that will fit with what it is that we're asking for. So I do thank Madam Edie in particular, who really sort of made this happen, and I was insistent that we find a way to really get going, because there is no real middle ground. As you heard the commissioner say, you know, if there was a way to kind of hide from it, then, you know, obviously some of us would choose that path. But as it stands right now, it's something that we must move towards. And so I'm hoping that persons will in fact take it seriously and start seeking out some of these opportunities to get started.
Okay, let me say, Aldain, first of all, thank you very much for organizing this session. This is something that has been on my mind to the point of bothering me, if I can be so blunt, because I know that it's upon us. I don't think that we are fully prepared for it. About 4 years ago, when the legislation was under consideration, we did have our lawyer come in and give us, you know, some pointers on what was under consideration. But I mean, that was 4 years ago. It's been a long journey since then, and we need now, I felt, to be brought up to date as to what is actually in the legislation. Sure, we can go and look it up and see for ourselves, you know, what exactly it calls for. But being in legalese and what have you, one would appreciate that the average person might not necessarily understand everything, might misunderstand some things, and may end up in some cases being quite confused. So we needed to get professional help, I thought. And so, you know, talking to you and your organizing the seminar was very, very important in terms of getting us started in the right direction. Yeah. So I also have to, you know, commend Ms. Barclay. She did an outstanding job. I mean, all the information was just oozing out of her head. You know, she just talked for half an hour or whatever it was, without a note. And, you know, it was just information just flowing from somebody who really is, you know, outstanding in terms of this type of thing. So, you know, thanks to you, thanks to her and the team. I didn't realize that she was coming off. Otherwise, I would have, you know, expressed our thanks to her personally. But if you could be so good as to pass it on for me, I would appreciate it. And let me say that, you know, you and I will have some further discussions because
Right.
we all need to get some help along the way, you know, over and above the information that we are able to glean today. The point is basically we need to put into effect what needs to be put into effect to be able to be in full compliance with what is required. And so, you know, we'll be in touch because all of us have information on our members, our clients, and what have you. And so none of us is exempt. So we will be in touch, and you know, any members who wish to contact you, of course, they know how to contact you. But just to say thanks a lot, we really appreciate it. At least it has managed to clarify some things as far as we are concerned, and of course, it shone a light on the gravity of the situation if we should fail to comply. So let us not be in that position where we don't comply and then, you know, coals of fire will be heaped on our heads, not just individually, but as an industry. We are susceptible, we would be liable, all of those things. And, you know, we are not necessarily a litigious set of people, but of course, we are not dealing solely with our own Jamaicans. We are dealing with our guests and clients who come from elsewhere in the world who are litigious. And that is something that we have to bear in mind. So let me just say thank you to you. You know, probably some members will be in touch, but I will be in touch for some further discussions with you. So ladies and gentlemen, let me say thank you to everybody. Are you in a position to stay on for another 5 minutes if anybody has any questions over and above?
Yes, I'm checking the questions now. And thanks, Madam Edie. Just to say that, I mean, one of the challenges that I think we had, myself had as a member, the task is daunting. And I think one of the things that I was very careful about, and I've said this to you many times, Madam Edie, you know, I'll work on projects like this, but it's not lost on me that I'm also the chair of the committee, but I'm also in the business. And so we are a business organization, but it got to a point we even wanted to have other persons come on who are offering the service, because again, sometimes we, you know, and again, everybody who's listening here can understand that, you know, it is a new space, but also again, I'm wearing two distinct hats, and I have to be very aware of that. And so, but when we looked out there, to be very honest, when we started working on this in January, and we were looking to see others sort of stepping up to the plate to provide the kind of thing that I just showed, there was just nothing. And so one of the things that we're hoping to do is, once we start getting this out there, more persons will see that it's not just about booking sessions and charging funds for, because I think what we're seeing is people are offering sort of bits and pieces of the puzzle. And I think it would be sad if we as a group would have sort of gone down a particular road and not understand that, I mean, this is so far-reaching and wide-ranging. And so we kind of had to just make a decision as a company that, you know, we do have the solution, even though, again, we are members. But for those who are interested, this session is not to mandate you to use our services, because, again, my first role here is as chairman of a committee. And so I would not use this seat to sort of, you know, unfairly, if you will, some would say, to get the business, if you will. But we know that it's something that is so important that, you know, we have to just get on with it. And so it got to a point where we said, you know what, let's just get on with it. But to be clear, as I said before, there are a few persons who are offering services as well. We believe our services are the best. And of course, it's our company, so what are we going to say? But the point is that we also believe that, if you are going to be investing in this sort of movement, you want to be clear that you're doing something that is really wholesome and sort of wholesale, and not just something that is focusing on one area. And so I posted in the chat the Calendly link. So for those persons who want to jump on a call for like 30 minutes, just to hear what it's about, then I think it would be a good thing to do. You can talk to one of our privacy advisors. I also put the website link as well for those who want to go and check the website out and sort of see what's going on as well. But again, whatever you do, wherever you go, get started. That's the bottom line. And that's my message for today.
And let me just say, Aldain, because I myself would not wish anybody to feel obligated or to believe that it's a specific effort to help one company. This was basically an introduction, as far as I'm concerned, to the subject, over and above what one reads in the public sphere, to bring to everybody's attention the seriousness of what is facing us with this act. We are, I think, possibly a particularly vulnerable industry. Our clientele, as I mentioned before, are coming from countries where, people are litigious. We're not, as litigious as some of the countries that our guests come from. So, basically, it's up to everybody, having attended the session, to get on with it. You're not obliged to go to any particular person or company or whoever. We just want everybody to be aware of what is in the act, what is at stake, and to get on with it. That's it.
Thank you. All right, well, we can leave it there. There was somebody who asked a question if there's a cost for the package. Yes, there is, depending on the size of your company. But again, you book an appointment if you so desire, and all that information will be available, and you can make a choice from there. So I think we can wrap it up. I think we did well, Madam Edie. We had it as 5 p.m. end time. It's now 4:38, so I think we didn't do that too badly. Thanks everyone for coming out. We're going to be distributing the recording once it's ready, and hopefully this is the beginning of some sort of movement on everybody's part to get compliant, get going, and be on the right side of the law and not on the wrong. But until next time, and until we meet in our meetings, or we have AGM coming up the weekend, or I think we're having a Christmas event, Madam Edie, or no? If not, maybe next time we have an event, we'll meet in person. But until then, thanks everyone, and all the best. Thank you for coming out.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye.